Now to major developments late today in the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash investigation. The preliminary report from the NTSB just in tonight, and what we've now learned. Here's Adrian Bankers.
It began with whispers, quiet, muffled fragments of suspicion buried beneath layers of grief, admiration, and unshakable public reverence. Vanessa Bryant, widow of NBA legend Kobe Bryant, mother to 4 daughters, and the face of resilience following the unimaginable tragedy of 2020, had become a symbol of strength to millions. But behind the carefully curated Instagram posts, the radiant red carpet appearances, and the tearful tributes to her late husband and daughter, something darker was stirring. And when the truth finally unraveled, it sent shockwaves through every corner of the world. No one expected her to fall. No one was prepared for what came next. The courtroom was filled to capacity the day the verdict was read. Reporters jostled for position. Cameras lined the back wall, silently capturing the unthinkable. Vanessa Bryant, stoic, composed, and dressed in black, standing before a federal judge as he pronounced a sentence that would forever stain the Bryant name: life imprisonment. No parole. The gasps were audible. Some wept. Others screamed. But all stood in stunned silence as the woman they believed to be the grieving queen of a basketball empire was led away in handcuffs. But how did it come to this? To understand the fall of Vanessa Bryant, one must first understand the vast, complicated empire she was left to manage. When Kobe and Gianna Bryant perished in a helicopter crash in January 2020, Vanessa became the sole inheritor of not just an estimated $600 million estate, but of an unmatched global legacy. With Kobe gone, everything rested on her shoulders: the brand, the businesses, the foundation, the family. At first, she stepped into the role with grace and tenacity. Public appearances were powerful, yet vulnerable. Tributes were heartfelt, often bringing audiences to tears. In court, she fought for the dignity of her husband and daughter when unauthorized crash site photos were leaked by deputies. She became a champion of victims' rights, a mother lion protecting her pride. But behind the scenes, those closest to the Bryant estate noticed changes. The once tight-knit circle around Vanessa began to shift. Longtime advisors were removed. Family members were distanced. Even Kobe's parents, with whom he had famously experienced tension, found themselves completely cut off. In their place emerged a new cadre of lawyers, financial consultants, and private security, many of whom had ties to international finance and obscure shell corporations. Kobe's businesses, previously grounded in American sports and storytelling, suddenly expanded overseas. Luxury real estate, cryptocurrency ventures, offshore accounts, all quietly tied to new entities under Vanessa's direct control. The media, of course, knew nothing. Vanessa kept a flawless public image, but law enforcement did not remain blind forever. The investigation began in mid-2022, when an IRS audit flagged unusual activity within one of the Mamba and Mambachita Sports Foundation's partner organizations. A routine tax inquiry quickly escalated into a full-blown federal probe. Forensic accountants uncovered a complex web of transactions, money being funneled through the foundation into private equity ventures, some of which had no clear beneficiaries. At first, investigators believed this was the work of a third party, a rogue financial advisor perhaps. But deeper analysis revealed a disturbing pattern. Nearly every major decision, every contract, and every asset shift had one common thread: Vanessa Bryant's digital signature. By late 2023, the Department of Justice had quietly opened a sealed case. Subpoenas were issued. Former employees were brought in for questioning. One former accountant, whose identity remains protected, testified that he was instructed to transfer $14.8 million from a trust intended for underserved youth athletics into a private holding account in the Cayman Islands. When he questioned the transaction, he was told, "It's for security. The family's safety comes first." The accountant was fired weeks later. But it wasn't just about misappropriated funds. The case took a far more sinister turn when investigators discovered a series of encrypted messages between Vanessa and an unidentified co-conspirator. These messages, accessed through a federal warrant on a secure messaging app, allegedly included references to controlling the narrative, protecting the brand, and, most chillingly, securing silence. Authorities believe that Vanessa had been orchestrating a campaign of intimidation and cover-up to hide not only financial misconduct, but knowledge about the circumstances surrounding the crash that killed Kobe and Gianna. This theory, once dismissed as a conspiracy, was suddenly being considered at the highest levels of government. Enter the whistleblower. In January 2024, a former employee of the Bryant family's private security team came forward with explosive allegations. In a sealed deposition, he claimed Vanessa had access to unreleased footage from the day of the crash, footage that contradicted the official narrative. The employee alleged that Kobe had expressed concerns about the helicopter company's maintenance protocols and had considered pulling out of the flight the night before. According to the whistleblower, Vanessa allegedly insisted the flight continue as scheduled, and not for convenience, but because Kobe was preparing to transfer control of several key assets to a new entity that would no longer place Vanessa in a central role. The implications were damning. For federal prosecutors, the combination of financial fraud, witness intimidation, destruction of evidence, and the alleged coercion surrounding the fatal flight created the framework for a historic legal case. In May 2024, Vanessa Bryant was arrested at her Newport Coast mansion under a sealed indictment. The charges were staggering: wire fraud, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit racketeering, and criminal negligence resulting in death. The world was blindsided. The trial became one of the most high-profile in recent memory. Vanessa's legal team claimed she was the victim of a government overreach, a grieving widow being scapegoated for bureaucratic failures. They painted her as someone trying to honor her husband's legacy while navigating a predatory industry that saw her as vulnerable. But the prosecution dismantled this narrative piece by piece. They introduced dozens of emails, encrypted messages, and financial records that showed a pattern of deception, coercion, and calculated manipulation dating back years. One of the most disturbing pieces of evidence came in the form of a recovered voice note, allegedly recorded by Kobe himself just weeks before his death. In it, he discusses his growing unease with how money was being managed in his absence. He speaks of Vanessa lovingly, but also with concern. "I don't know if I can trust everyone around me," he says, his voice calm but heavy. "I've built this for them, but I feel like it's slipping out of my hands." The recording was a dagger. During closing arguments, prosecutors described Vanessa Bryant as a master of perception, a grieving wife in public, but a calculated empire builder in private, one who allowed tragedy to become opportunity and loss to become leverage. The jury took just 3 hours to return a unanimous verdict: guilty on all counts. As the judge read out the life sentence, Vanessa didn't flinch. She stood motionless, hands clasped, her expression unreadable. But for the millions watching, those who had lit candles for Kobe and Gianna, who had reposted Vanessa's tributes, who had believed in the myth of the perfect family, the moment was a profound rupture. Something sacred had been shattered. In the weeks following her sentencing, supporters and skeptics alike took to social media in a frenzy. Some refused to believe it, calling the entire case a smear campaign. Others pointed to signs they had overlooked: the secrecy, the abrupt business moves, the sudden silencing of those once close to the family. Public trust splintered, sponsors pulled support, foundations rebranded, and the once unshakable Bryant name became a global cautionary tale. Yet even behind bars, Vanessa's influence looms. Sources inside her correctional facility claim she maintains communication with several high-level contacts, possibly in an effort to appeal her sentence. There are rumors of a tell-all manuscript, one that could expose not just her truth, but secrets the world has never dared to confront. Whether it ever sees the light of day remains to be seen. One thing is certain: the story of Vanessa Bryant's fall from grace is not just about crime and punishment. It's about the dangerous intersection of legacy, wealth, grief, and unchecked power. It's about how the most trusted faces can sometimes conceal the darkest intentions. And it's about how even empires built on love, excellence, and brilliance can still burn from within.